What's up, YouTube? So today in this video, I'm going to show you how to create an automation that will take the answers from an application such as a form that lead fills out or a calendar where they answer questions on that, calculate a score, so then you can have that score in, say, a Slack message, or you can do other options with the score, such as maybe automatically canceling an appointment or sending out different messages based on what that application score is. Let me show you an example here. If I were to have, say, a calendar like this, and it could just be a straight form as well. But say I have a calendar, and let's pick a time here, and then we get over here. Now they can fill out their name, email, phone, and then they answer some of these questions. So do you run an agency? How many clients do you have? What's your current monthly revenue? When are you ready to scale your business? Basically, these questions, based on how they answer, you might want to calculate a score based on that, and then do something with that. Like I said, maybe cancel the appointment, or maybe just send a simple Slack message like this that has the answers, what the score is, and then what their total score is based on all the answers. All right, so that could be a Slack message here, and that's what we're actually going to build out in this video. So first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to pull up a spreadsheet here, and best thing that I recommend doing is going and mapping out or writing out your questions that you want to have, the answers, and then the point values. What I'm going to show is I'm going to show how to build this out using Make, which I recommend, make.com. I'm also going to show you how to build it out in Zapier. Sure, go with Zapier, but we know that Make is much better and a lot cheaper than Zapier. And I'll cover that at the end here, why. But I'll show you how to do both, and you can pick which one you want. So for this example here, let's start with this. I have a question here that says, do you run an agency? And then the two answers, it'll be a drop down. So yes, I run an agency. No, I don't have an agency. And then if they choose yes, score will be a 2. If they choose no, score will be a 0. How many clients do you have? Say, for example, greater than 25, 10 to 24, 1 to 10, or 0. Now this one is going to be a number, so it's not going to be a drop down. And I'm doing it this way so that I can show you a little more detail on how to build this out if you want to have them type something in. Where's your current monthly revenue? And this would be a currency field. So again, they'll just type in their currency, but then we'll have ranges here, same as this one, ranges. If it falls within that range, then they will get a specific score based on that range. And this one would be, when are you ready to scale your business? This will be a drop down, so select the option. This will be the score. And then how much do you have available to invest in your business growth? So we'll have this, and then you can go a little bit further and you can say, for this example, the max total score would be 8. So 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 would be 8. And then maybe you want to have a range, say potentially a good fit, if their score is between a 4 and an 8, and then disqualify them if they're, say, a less than a 4. But you can adjust this however you want. This is just an example that I'm putting in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have some timestamps down on the screen here, also down in the description. So if you want to skip directly to how to build the form, and I'm going to be using HighLevel, how to build the form in the calendar, you'll see that. Another timestamp will be how to actually build the automation in Make. And then the other timestamp will be how to build it in Zapier. So you can jump over to the specific one that you want. So let's just start from scratch. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to go back to HighLevel. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to settings, and we're going to need to create the custom fields. So in this case, I'm going to custom fields here. And what I'm going to do, I actually already created them. So I put them in a folder here to put calendar answer scoring. And so let me go into each one of these and show you how I did that. Actually, I'll just go and create one right now to show. So let's go and just delete this one. All right, so you'll come over here to add field. And for this first one, pull this back up. I'm making this one drop down. So do you run an agency? I'm actually going to copy the question right here. And we're going to do the option of drop down single. Click next, paste that in here. I want to put it into this group, which is the calendar answer scoring. Name whatever you want. That's just what I did for this example. Now for this to work, the way it's going to be set up, you need to have the exact answers in here that's going to go into the automation. So what I mean is we're going to come over here and I'm going to copy and paste these exactly here because this is how we're going to use it in the automation. So I'm going to copy this. We'll put it over here. Now you can type this in, but I just find it easier if you put in, say, a spreadsheet and then map it all out on how you want your values to be. So I'm going to copy this over here. I'm going to paste this in and we'll save that. So now we have, do you run an agency? Move this up to the top. And I'm going to delete this one as well and show you how to create one of these others. So the next one will be, and we're going to do a number field. How many clients do you have? All right, so in this one, add a field. This is going to be a number. So they can only type in a number. If you do a single line, then that would be a little bit tougher to do because they can type in, say, TWO for 2. But you want to just keep it a number and make it easier that way. And so we'll click next. Over here, I'll paste that in. Same there. Now there's no options you put in because they're just going to be able to type it in. Okay. And we're going to move this up, back up there, just so it's in order. This one down here is a monetary value. So if I go to add a field, it's monetary, meaning it's going to come out in a dollar amount. So we'll just edit this and show you just the name of the question here. Next is, are you ready to scale your business? Single option. I'm going to edit this one. Again, drop down, name the question, and then I'll just paste it in as I mapped it out. These answers over in here. Okay. And then the last one will be the same thing. How much do you have available to invest in your business? And this is what I have the answers in. So we will go back here and let me just show you over here. So put those answers in. All right. So now that you have your custom fields created, next thing we're going to do is we're going to head over and we're going to create the form. So pretty straightforward. We're going to go to sites. We're going to go down to forms. We're going to go to form builder. And then let's add a new form. Start from scratch. Let's go ahead and name this form. Let's do application scoring. Name whatever you want. I'm just going to call it that. Let's just make this simple. I'm going to add in however you want to do it. I like to do full name, say required, phone, email. For this example, I'm going to remove that. And then now we're going to add in those custom fields. So in a custom field, calendar answer scoring, and I'm going to just drag this over. Do you run an agency? How many clients do you have? Let's make these required. And then what is your current monthly revenue? When are you ready to scale your business? And then the last question, how much you have available to invest in the growth of your business? All right, so let's make these required, required, and required. All right, so we have that, and change this up if you want. Doesn't really matter. For now, for this example, you can adjust the button as you want. So now that we got the form created, let's go back, and you could do just the form submitted, but in this case, let's do it on a calendar. Because for my example here, when's the appointment start date? So we'll have this in here as well. So now let's go over to the calendars. Let's go to calendar settings. And I actually already have one here. I like using the round robin calendar. I recommend that. So let's go and edit this calendar. So to get that form on the calendar, come over to forms and payments. And then here, so I created one before, but we're just going to switch it to this new one that I created, application scoring. So now we have that form is going to be on this calendar. So let's save it, close this up. And now let's open up the calendar, share. So I'm going to copy the link, put it in a new tab. And now we have, here's our calendar. So let's pick a time. And now we have each of our questions here. Okay. Before I submit this, I'm going to set up the quick automation in HighLevel. So we're going to come back to, we're going to go back, go to the automations, and let's create a new workflow, start from scratch. Let's name it. Let's say booked discovery call. All right, so the trigger we're going to do here is appointment status. I'm going to add a filter in. We're going to select in calendar, and we're going to choose that specific calendar. So discovery call. I'm going to add another filter in, and we're going to do the appointment status is confirmed. I always like to name it to discovery call. If I can type correctly, and we'll save trigger. Okay, so we have that when there's a booking on that calendar. Next, we're going to, of course, you go through and do all of your other, send out a confirmation text, add tag, update opportunity. I'm not going to go over all that now. I have another video in my channel, which I can link up here on how to set up your appointment confirmation reminders. But for the basics here on what we're doing in this video, we are actually going to send a webhook because this is going to send over to either Make or Zapier. What I'm going to do is now we need the webhook URL. So now I'm going to open up Make. I'm going to come into my Make account here. And I'm going to create a new scenario. Okay, so I'm going to add in a webhook. We're going to do custom webhook. And then I'm going to add a new webhook. And this one we'll call, say, application scoring. Save that. And now you have your link here. We're going to copy that address to the clipboard. And we're going to go back into HighLevel and we're going to paste that link in here. So then I'm also going to name this one Make so that we know for this example. And then what I like to do To make this easier for testing, I'm going to do a wait step, put the wait in, and now this is only for testing. So I'm going to add, say, 10 days, just a long arbitrary number, and I'm going to turn this on and save it. So now I'm going to book the call, and then it's going to come into here. It's going to send the webhook out, and the contact's going to be in the wait step here. And the reason I do this is, so now if I want to go back and test it again, say I want to send another webhook, say I made a mistake or just need to test it more, then I can keep the contact here, move them back up, and then send the webhook again. If I didn't have this wait step, then the contact would be out of this workflow, and to the webhook again, I would have to go back and book another call. I just don't want to book multiple calls for this test. Okay, so now that we have this saved, now I'm going to come back to the calendar, and I'm going to put in, say, just some information. I think I already have that contact in here. And all right, so I'm going to just type in whatever email, and then I'm going to answer some questions here. We'll say, yes, I do. How many clients? Say 13. Monthly revenue. Let's go with 16,000. When are you ready to scale your business? Let's say within about a week. And how much do you have available to invest in your growth? Let's say, let's go 1,000 and 2,500. Okay, so now I answer the questions. We'll schedule the meeting. Okay, so now we're going to come back to HighLevel here, and to do a quick refresh of this to see where the contact is, click the refresh button. But here's a little tip, hot tip. It takes longer to refresh the page, so just click on one of these tabs up here and then go back to Builder, and then now you'll see there's the contact there, which means it went through the webhook got sent over. So now we come over to HighLevel. Actually, what I should have done first was click OK and save it, because now that data won't be there. If I click Run, if I right click and do Show Queue, see there's no queue in there because you had to save it first. So what I'm going to do, the next thing I'm going to add in here before I actually run this, again, here's my testing tip. I'm going to add in I'm going to add in the HTTP, get a file, execution ID, which this is just a random number, and this requires a URL. So what's going to happen is when I run this, it's going to cause a scenario to break. And that way I keep the packet of information in here as a queue, and I can run it multiple times without having to send the webhook over multiple times. So I'm going to save that again. You'll see here in a second. So now I'm going to come back to HighLevel. So see how I made that mistake before? I didn't save the scenario first. So instead of going and booking another call, going through all that, I can do this. I can take this, I can move it up to here, and it moves it with the contact. I'll also copy this action and put it down here. Again, these two are just for testing. Once I go live with this, I will delete these. So now that I save that, now I can take this contact and I can force the contact through to the next step again, which now we do a refresh. So now the contact's over here, meaning the webhook got sent. And so you see I didn't book another call. Now I come back to make, and now if I run once, see it says there is data in queue, so I want to use existing data. And when I do this, now that we have an error here, that packet of queue stayed with this scenario. If this was a success, then that queue would be gone and I would have to go and send the webhook again. But this way, I can just do this again, use existing data, and it just keeps using that same packet of queue. All right, open this. Now we have all of our information here. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to build out the calculations for each of those answers. So I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to add in tools. We're going to say add in the set multiple variables. And then in here, we're going to set a variable. First one we're going to add is, let's go back here. Let's take the first question. The variable name will be, do you run an agency? And now what we need to do is we need to calculate if the answer is yes, I run an agency, we want it to output a 2. If it's no, we want it to output a 0. So I'm going to copy this. Yes, I run an agency. All right, so now what we're going to do is we could use the if function, but it's actually simpler in this case since it's just 2 of them. We're going to use a different function called switch. So there's the if here, and if you know Excel, Google Sheets, which we will use this later on, but we're going to use switch in this case. It's just a little bit simpler. So switch is if you have if it's the input is this, output this. If the input is that, output that. I'll show you how that works. So we'll do switch, delete these for now. And so the first one is the expression. So what this means is we're going to select our output or the question. So do you run an agency? So that's the expression. So whatever this output is, now we're going to do the comma, semicolon, value. So the value, we're going to do, yes, I run an agency. So it's saying if this answer here is equal to, yes, I run an agency, and this makes it a little bit easier. I'm just going to do a separate line for now to show a little visually easier to see. So yes, I run an agency, and then I want this to output a 2. So then I'll put 2. Put your semicolon. Now we're on value number 2. So value number 2 is going to be, no, I don't have an agency. Here, what I want that output to be. Let's go back. See what I want the output to be. The output I want it to be 0. See how the result is 0. And then in this case, now I can just close the parenthesis. Okay, so before we actually close this up, backspace once, you need to have it all on one line. So this also needs to start there. So it's all on one line here. We'll click OK. Now if I go ahead and run this once, using existing data, now if we look at the output here, see the output is a 2 because that was what the input was. The variable, the input was, do you run an agency? The input here, do you run an agency? Yes, I run an agency, and that means a 2. What we're going to do now is we're going to add in the other questions. Next question is, how many clients do you have? Paste that in here for the answer. And this one, since it's a number, we can't use the switch. We need to have a range, a variable. Or it needs to be, if it falls in that range, because it's a number they're going to type in, that's when we need to output that. So this is going to be an if function. I'm actually going to build it out right here, and then we will build out here so then I can show you, now we'll build out in make. So this is going to be, say, what the answer is. Say the person typed in, let's use an example, 28. They typed in, they have 28 clients. So now we're going to build this out. And I'm going to expand this to make it a little bit easier to read. Equals if this answer is, we're saying greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to. I know I have greater than here, but we're just going to say greater than or equal to 25. 25, comma, what do I want the output to be? A 2. So I'm going to put a 2. Now I'm going to do option enter just to show it's a little bit more visually easier to see on multiple lines. So now we're going to do if it's false. Actually, I got to put a comma up there. So if the answer is false, if it's not greater than 25, next thing is going to go to the false, which the false is we're going to do another if statement. If this value, now it's checking, okay, it wasn't that. So now is it greater than, in this case, it's going to be greater than 10. So say we want to do greater than or equal to 10. That'd be 10 to 24. So this will be greater than or equal to 10, comma, and now we want the output to be a 1. So we'll type in 1, comma. I'm going to do option enter again to do a new line. And again, we're going to do if this is, in this case, the next one is greater than 1. Now you don't have to do any other type of range in here because as long as you do it in order, it checks the first one first. If it doesn't meet that, then it checks the next one. Is it greater than that? If not, next one, that. So it goes on in the order without having to do, if it's greater than this, but less than this, a range that gets too complicated. As long as you have it in this order, that's the way the order goes in. Because see, now we're back at the logical expression. You're doing if statements within if statements. So if that is greater than or equal to 1, then I want the output, if it's true, to equal 0.5. 0.5, comma. I'm going to do option enter again. If the output is now, in this case, equal to 0, comma, I'm going to have the output 0. And then we'll close the parenthesis. Actually, got to close it. So highlight there. So we need to close it 4 times because it's all one big formula. Now we enter. See, the point value is a 2 because it's 28, which is greater than 25. So let's test this out. Let's say they type in 18, or let's do 17, which is between 10 and 24, which the output should be a 1 there. So the output's 1. Now let's say they type in 10. The output is still 1. That's good. Now let's say they put in 8. Now the output's 0.5. And if they put in a 1, good, the output's 0.5. And if they put in a 0, the output is 0. Great, so that works out. That's working how we want it to. Now we need to go build this out. Same exact thing within make. So let's do that. So we'll come over here and we're going to say if, and now this time we need to select how many clients do you have? And then we can go over to the math functions here and we could find greater than or equal to, and then we'll type in 25, comma. Now in make, they don't use commas, they use semicolons. So semicolon, if it's greater than 25, what do we want it to output? Let's actually do this, and then we can see the formula. Okay, so if it's greater than 25, we want it to output a 2, semicolon. Again, I'm gonna do a separate line now so it's easier to see. Now we're doing if, I'm doing another logical expression. So we're gonna click back here, come on. All right, there we go, that was weird. Okay, so we're gonna come back to this and we're going to say, how many clients do you have? Again, we're doing greater than or equal to. So you can either go back to the function here and you can click it, or you can do squiggly bracket, whatever the actual name is. I don't really know. Greater than or equal to, and then close it, and then it automatically makes that one the same as clicking over here. Greater than or equal to 10, semicolon, output we want it to be 1, semicolon, do another line, if, and we're gonna come back to here, select how many clients do you have. This time it's greater than or equal to 1, semicolon, output is 0.5, and semicolon, and we're going to do if, how many clients do you have? This time equals 0, comma, we want to equal 0. And you close parentheses, and you can see these are going away. They close to find the right amount of parentheses. Do that, and we'll click OK. So now let's go and run this and test it. Run using existing data, and the output is 1. See, if I didn't have this in here and I ran this, it would be all success, and I would have to go and submit the webhook again and go and book another call, and there's just too much. That's why I always have this in here for testing, because I can run this multiple times. So now we have the output here. So let's go build the next one out. Add item, and this one is going to be, what is your current monthly revenue? Add that in, and then this one, again, the number is same as the currency. We're going to do the same thing. So if, and we're going to say, what is your current monthly revenue? And this one is going to be now very similar, greater than or equal to, since this is an output, if we see this comes out to, this one was 16,000 that we typed in. So this, we're gonna have to type in, sorry, not 16, we're doing this number here, 50,000, comma, what's the output? Let's move this over here. So we want the output to be 1, semicolon, if, let's see, revenue greater than or equal to, we're doing 25,000, one too many zeros. We're going to do less than 1,000. Close all the parentheses. Okay. And let's test this one as well. Now we have an output of 0.5 because we did 16,000, which that falls in between the 1 and 25. So that is correct. The output is 0.5. Again, so we're just going to add all these other ones in. So this one is now a drop down. So this one we can do another switch. We're going to come back here. We're going to copy this, paste this in. We'll go a little bit quicker on this one, switch. And then we are doing the, we're going to scale your business, semicolon. We're going to say ASAP. And that output is a 1, semicolon. Next answer in about a week, semicolon, 0.75, semicolon. Next answer, semicolon, 0.5, semicolon. Next answer, semicolon, 0. And close that. And let's add the other one in here while we're at it. This one again is another drop down, so we'll do another switch over here. Again, you can make this as an if statement, but I find the switch is easier for this because it's just, if this is this, use that. Last question, add this in, switch, 0. Close that up. Let's click OK. Let's go and run this once. And let's see, we have 2, 1, 0.5, 0.75, 0.5. Great, that's exactly what we want. All right, now that gives us the value for each answer. A couple different things we can do. I'm going to show you this the long way, then I'm going to show you actually how to minimize the amount of operations you use. But let's go and set another variable, set a variable. And what we're going to do here, we're going to do, say, application score. We'll call it. Now this one is going to be math function, and we're going to do the sum. Now in here, you're going to select each of those from the set variable. See how it's pulsating? That means you're selecting from here. So the output of this, semicolon, this one, semicolon, this one, semicolon, this one. So now it's just going to add all those up. Let's click OK. Let's run once, use existing. So now the output here, 4.75. If we look, 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 0.5, that's 4.75. So that's correct. We have that. Now you see that runs 3 operations. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. But let's go ahead and do our next one of Slack. And I want to create a message, put that in here. I'm going to select my channel, do this into my testing channel. And now we're going to set up the Slack message that gets sent out. Let's do this. New booked call. Do whatever you want. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to, now I do the little stars here because that makes it bold. So if we look back here, see how this is bold, bold, bold. I like it to look that way. Star, we'll do a name, bold. And then here we're going to find a name, full name, do email. I'm going to select the email, phone. And now I also want to do the event start date. So then you know when the appointment starts. So what we'll do is we'll come down and start /time that. And then the appointment start time right here, calendar start time is this. But that's an ugly format. I don't like it to look that way. So I'm going to format it a different way. So I'm going to put the cursor before it, and I'm going to come to the calendar functions here, and I'm going to format date. I use this one a lot. Delete that for now. So we have the input date and what's the format that we want. So I'll put the semicolon. Now we're on the format, and the format is, I'm going to put in, say, month dash day dash year. We'll have it in the 4-digit. And I also want the time as well. So then I will put in one lowercase m, h, unless you want the leading 0 before it. And I'll put colon, and I'll put m for the minutes, space, a will give me the AM or PM. So now we have that format. Next, I'm going to put in, I want to see the answer to the questions. So we'll come back here. Let's take this first question, copy this, paste that. I also like to put in star here. And now we're going to get the output of that, which is going to be, do you run an agency? Maybe you also want to put in, for an example here, I put in, say, the bracket, what the actual score is based on that answer. Visually, if you want to see that. So let's do this. We'll put in the brackets. And now I can come back and I can take the output of the variable from before. Close the bracket. And now we'll do the next one. I'll go ahead and do the rest of these really quick. All right, got all the question and answers in there. Next, I want to add in the total score. So we'll put application score, put my little stars in there. And then here, now we'll select the application score of that variable. And now I will click OK. And so now if we run this, let's run once and test it. So now it sends a Slack message, pull it over here, and here we go. Error and test, we got the time and 4.75. Looks like it is the same score for my previous test. Did I do the same answer? No, I did different answers. 13, 16. But so we have that here. But one thing, okay, so where's your current monthly revenue? That comes out as 16,000. That doesn't really look that pretty. Let's make it look like this. So I'll show you that as well. Let's come back into Slack for the what's current monthly revenue. Because this is just a number here, we can format this. And that's what Make also has. So we come over to the number here, and we're going to do format number. Where'd it go? Format number. Get rid of that. Actually, before this, I'm going to put in the $sign. So we have the $sign, format number. So the way this works is the input is that. Well, how do we want to format it? Next is how many decimal points. This probably is going to be a large number, so I don't need any decimal points. I'm going to keep it at 0. And then the decimal separator, just typically be the period. Other countries might be different value or different separator. And then what is 1,000 separators? And I want it to be a comma. Close the parenthesis. Now we have that. Now before I run the next test, another thing I like to add in is I like to also add in a link back to that specific contact. So if we go back to HighLevel, I'm going to show you how to do that. Back to workflows. Let's go to the contacts, and let's just pick this contact that we just created. You can do from here is I want it so that you can click on the link in the Slack message and take you directly to the contact in HighLevel. So if I'm going to take the link up here, copy this link. We're going to come back to HighLevel, and we're going to say link to contact. And you can put the link in, but what you want to do is you want it to be that specific contact. So everything after this detail here, this is the contact ID. So we're going to come back here, and you always get the contact ID with that information that's sent over. So contact ID. So now it'll replace the contact ID with that specific contact. You can also go even further, and you can make this even more universal by this is your location ID. So the sub account ID. I can also delete this out, and then I can come down to location, and we see here the 9ZB1K, that is the location ID. So I can remove this, and I can put in this ID. So now this is going to do that specific sub account and a specific contact. So now I can actually take this as a whole template, and I can duplicate this out for any other client that I bring on. Now if I click OK, now let me just save this and let's run once. So now let's look at our Slack message. So now we have start, date, time, all the answers. This came out to oh, how many clients do you have? Whoops, I put the dollar in the wrong spot. We did the wrong one. Okay, we'll go back and fix that. But so we have the link here that will take you directly to that contact. Let's see what I did wrong here. I put in how many clients do you have? It's supposed to be down here. Format, number, parenthesis, and let's do comma, 0, comma, period, comma, semicolon, comma. Close that up. We don't need this up here. I need the dollar sign too. Dollar sign. All right. We don't need that, and we don't need this because this is just a number. Let's try this again. Run once, using existing data. We're going over here to Slack, and now we have this. Yes, we're an agency 2. How many clients do you have? 13, 1, 16,000, 0.5 there, link, perfect. That's pretty much how I want it. That's exactly how I want it to look. And we have the total score there. So now let's look at this. This used up 1, 2, 3, 4 operations. Okay, 4 operations. We can actually minimize this down to, you can keep it this way, which actually sometimes is a little bit more clean because now your output, you can see whatever the output is, easier to map field later on, depending on what else you're doing. And this, you have the output there. As you saw in here, it looks a little bit cleaner and easier to do all this. But say you wanted to minimize, not even use these operations. We can go ahead and do that. So in here, we can basically put all the formulas within this. But let's start on this one. Let me show you how to do it on this one. Say I want to do this. What you can do is, I'm just going to put in a new line here for an example. Sum. Now I would go, I need, do you run an agency? So I can come back to this one and I can copy this whole formula here. Then we come back to this and we put it in there. Now we're going to do comma. We're going to sum up the next one. How many clients do you have? So now I'll come back to this one, copy that, come back here, paste that in, next comma, next formula, and we're going to do this, select all of that, comma, semicolon, come back to the next one. What did I just do? Monthly revenue. Okay, so monthly revenue, we did that one. Now this one, copy all this, go back here, paste that in, semicolon for the next value, and the last one is going to be this. So see, you can do this, but this gets ugly. And so now, oh, I got to close all the functions. How many? That should be it. Oh, now I can actually just delete this out. All right, so close that up. Nope, close that. All right, so if I do one more, see now that I have too many parentheses and it doesn't show it in gray, so I don't need that. Click OK. Now let's run once. So see now the output, we're gonna get the same thing, application score. But you see it's kind of ugly. If you need to go and diagnose something now, it's really hard to figure out all that formula. But you could do that, and we can even further, and we can do it in the Slack message as well. So let's go here. If we want to do it for this one, what I would do is I would come back to this. I would copy this to run an agency, and then in here, I would, instead of putting it here, instead of using this, I'll get rid of this, and I'll paste in that formula. So let's go back and do the same one. How many clients do you have? Come over here, and then when I do this, so for each one, put that in there, and for the application score, we're gonna come back, and here's our big formula for the application score. Copy that, come back to Slack, paste that in. So now this, you could do it this way. This is kind of ugly, okay? And if we run once, let's just test it first. So now we have, that's exactly what we have. So now what you can do is you can actually, I'm just gonna unlink this and unlink this. Hold shift, I'm gonna highlight these, move them out of the way for now. So now you essentially could just set it up this way. Now you're only using 2 operations, the webhook and then Slack. And we'll run once to test it. And there we go. So time is 4:48. Yep. So this is same thing. We're getting the same results, but now you're only using 2 operations as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. Either way works. It's just this way. Now, if you want to make changes, it's pretty crazy, kind of hard to diagnose any problems or go back and make any changes, but you totally could do that either way. That is how you set it up in Make to calculate an application score and then post it into Slack. If you want to go further, you can say, put in, let's add a router in here. And let's go back and add these in. So I'm going to unlink this. Let's put this back in here. Let's also put this in here just to show you an example. Again, you could do it again with all the formulas in here as well, filter. But say I want to have a path that is, if the total application score, we're going to say greater than, as I did this over here. Let's go back, say greater than, we're going to say greater than 4, greater than 4. If the application score is greater than 4, then it'll pass the filter. I'm going to unlink this and move it down here. So it's going to go down the router first, second, and then third. This way I can still keep my testing so it breaks. But maybe I want to do something over here where if this is, say, less than 4, now we can do the application score, go down to our numeric operators, then 4. Let's change this one to greater than or equal to, there. So now maybe over here we do something different. Maybe we send out a different Slack message. So I can clone this. I'll delete this one now. It's now this Slack message. Maybe say new booked call, low score, cancel. I don't know, something like that. And so now let's go ahead and click OK. And let's go ahead and run this once. So if I run once, there, it only sent that Slack message up here because the score was greater than 1. It didn't go down here. So now you can filter out and you can say send different messages, or you can maybe reply back to the contact, say, hey, sorry, not going to work. You don't meet our application. And so that way now you can filter that out. You can also go in, instead of having these again, if you want to remove these, you can put the whole formula in here. You would take this whole thing and then you would put it in here and then the output of that. So you can do that. I'll save that. And that's how you set it up in Make. So now before you go on to the next video, if you want to watch how to set up in Zapier, let me walk you through and show you why I believe Make is way better than Zapier. I mean, either will work, but I feel it's easier to set up in Make. But what I'm going to go over right now is the pricing structure to show you that Make is a hell of a lot cheaper. So first off, if we check over on Make for monthly pricing, the lowest plan is $10.59 per month for 10,000 operations. If you look at Zapier, the lowest plan, paid plan per month is $30 per month for 750 tasks. Now, tasks and operations are slightly different. We'll get into that detail here. They both have a free plan. Now, with setting this up, you can use Make on the free plan because you can use webhooks. You get all the features with Make on the free plan. You just get 2 active scenarios. Whereas Zapier, to use webhooks, you need to be on a paid plan. So you wouldn't be able to use the free plan of Zapier. But let's go with the paid plan. The cheapest package, like I said, $10.59 per month, and 10,000 operations is a lot. So I have this little chart over here. Let's come down here and find where, there we go. So if we do this quick math, Make monthly price $10.59 for 10,000 operations. If you multiply that out or divide that out, it comes out to less than 1 penny per operation. Whereas Zapier, $30 a month divided by 750, comes out to about 4 cents per operation or per task. Pretty significant cost there. Now, if we were to look at the way we set this up, if we did the bare minimum, 1 task, 2 tasks, so you multiply that by 2, it comes out to roughly still less than a penny per run for each run. Whereas Zapier, it would be 4 cents per run. Now, even if we took 1, 2, 3, 4 operations, if we change this to 4, as we see, this goes up to still less than a penny. It's only 0.004 penny per run. So Make is a hell of a lot cheaper. You get a lot more operation, a lot more scenario runs. That's why I believe Make is the best. So I have my affiliate link down in the description. So you can go ahead and sign up for Make there, start your free plan. Now, if you want to see how to do this in Zapier, go ahead and see my next video, which is going to be somewhere on the screen where I'm pointing. The video there, link in the description also, and just see it in the next video on my YouTube channel. So with that being said, I'll see you over there.